Hey guys, it's MetaGamesGX here, and we're going to try to get back into a content rotation. I took a little bit of a break after the WCQ because that was a lot of grinding, and we are back now. So I'm going to be talking about Chaos Star Source Dragon because this card recently just got errated in the TCG, and I did want to talk quickly about the implications for that, and then if we should still be running Chaos Star Source and how good it is still, and maybe other options that we can run over it if that is going to be the case, or cards that we can run around it. So Chaos Star Source Dragon is one of the best cards in Branded. Recently, actually, it might as well be a branded card because it is so easy to make in our deck. It's a level 8 light dragon that says it takes 1 light or dark dragon monster plus 1 dragon monster, and the original English text of this card said, if this card is fusion summoned, you can target cards your opponent controls up to the number of light and dark monsters used as this card's material, and then destroy them. And then the second effect is pretty much irrelevant for Branded. So now it effectively says if this card is fusion summoned, you can target cards your opponent controls up to the number of light and dark monsters the owner used as this card's fusion materials and destroy them. So basically, the maker of this card will only be able to pop monsters up to the number of cards they used from themselves. So essentially, this card used to be one of the biggest blowouts against Blue Eyes, because against Blue Eyes, you know, they end on 2 dragons. One's going to be a light dragon guaranteed, so you could clean up their 2 monsters, whether it's the 2 spirit dragons, an ultimate and a spirit, any kind of combination, and then Chaos Star Source ends up, you know, popping them. But then also you got the added benefit of popping their True Light, or popping 2 cards, right? Like in the Blue Eyes matchup. So you could fuse off their 2 boss monsters and then go Chaos Star Source, target True Light, target a Drill Beam, and that basically took care of the whole Blue Eyes board. And now we don't have that option. So, this card used to be a lot better, and now it's a lot worse. However, I still think that we should probably still be running this card. I run this card in the Master Duel. If you guys are familiar with my Master Duel streams, this is actually how Chaos Star Source was ruled in the OCG and Master Duel for this whole time. So there was a mistranslation error on the part of Konami with the Chaos Star Source Dragon. So this was kind of bound to happen and get caught up anyway, but I did want to let people know so that they know for, you know, future formats, because in the new OTS pack, Chaos Star Source Dragon got a super rare reprint, which that's good, but it also came at the cost of the text being updated, unfortunately, because I did want to stay, obviously, as it was translated over here, because it made it a very good out for the Blue Eyes board if you use Super Poly. And now if you Super Poly the Blue Eyes board, yeah, you get Chaos Star Source, but you don't deal with the Drill Beam, and they might just be able to revive something, right, depending on their board. So Chaos Star Source will still be very good even into the Blue Eyes matchup. It just won't be the auto win it was. It also is a very good card into Tenpai, and this mostly did not matter against Tenpai because you would, let's just say, go Rinbrum effect summon Albaz, fuse off like their Chandra in battle phase, and then you can make a Chaos Star Source and pop their field spell. Chandra's a fire, so you were never already popping in other cards, so that doesn't come up there. In the Dragon Tail matchup in the future, because in a set or two, we're going to be getting a meta deck called Dragon Tail, and as the name suggests, it's a bunch of dragons. So they aren't a bunch, like their boss monsters are light, so besides that, though, you won't be really using a lot of, you won't be getting the pops off of their cards really there too. So this really only comes up in the Blue Eyes matchup, in my opinion. However, like I said, this does make it a lot worse. Do you still want to run Chaos Star Source Dragon, though? Is you could be like, oh, instead of Chaos Star Source Dragon, let's just start running Borreload Furious instead. And while I love Furious still, and I've actually been running Furious in my branded deck alongside Chaos Star Source, I actually think that it's never going to be a replacement for Chaos Star Source, because in a simplified game state where you just need to pop 2 cards, Chaos Star Source is just a lot better than Borreload. Borreload can pop 1 card, but you also have to get rid of one of your own resources. And yes, it's an on-field, just like advantage tree, but this card's a lot better when you have like cards established already, whereas this card's a lot better in a simplified board state. So I think you still need it to make those pinch plays to like basically put your opponent on nothing, right? Because this card will usually come out once you've already exhausted your Mirror Jade, your Mercurier, and then you know, your opponent lines up 2 bodies before they link off, even against Blue Eyes, right? Like before they synchro, you know, you could go Chaos Star Source, pop their True Light, and then pop their back row, and then it destroys their monsters. And I still think this is a card that nothing else replaces. Obviously, even in the non-Blue Eyes matchups like Fiendsmith, where they just have 2 bodies, I think Chaos Star Source is way better than a Borreload. And then you also have cards like Guardian Chimera, which Guardian Chimera is very good, but I don't ever think that Guardian Chimera is a replacement for Chaos Star Source. And I do think that Guardian Chimera has been in a lot of the Master Duel builds, and a lot of TCG builds have kind of neglected to, you know, run Guardian Chimera in branded. So it recently, a lot of people have been just, you know, once Chaos Star Source came out, I think a lot of people ended up cutting Chimera, but we see in the Master Duel format that a lot of people actually run Chaos Star Source plus Chimera. So maybe we'll get that in our format, with Chaos Star Source being a little bit less just like definitive now with its errata. But, you know, I'm here to tell you guys now that the card's still very good, and you're going to still run it in branded. You're still going to want it in branded. It's the only thing you can make off of Albion, the branded dragon, and Lubellion, the Searing Dragon, off of your branded fusion that can actually, you know, pop 2 cards on its face, right? Like Mirror Jade only pops 1 card, Borreload only pops 1 card, and you can't make Guardian Chimera through the branded fusion. So I think that Chaos Star Source still occupies a very unique slot. It's also a light level 8 dragon, which is unique to your deck. Your only other ones are Lubellion, are your Lubellions, right? You have Lubellion, the Searing Dragon, and then you also have the Bestial Lubellion that you run in your main deck. Not the, but Bestial Lubellion. Well, I guess it is the Bestial Lubellion. And, you know, there are other cards in the game that I've been really liking lately, such as like Stapelia or Dragon, Latent Darkness Dragon Lord. Right now, I don't love Lad because of Super Poly being in the format. And also, I think a lot of good players will just out this a lot of the time. But I still think that, you know, Chaos Star Source is one of your best bridges, right? Because you can make Borreload plus Chaos and then fuse it off with Cartesia for like a shifter line. I know Shifter's only at 1, but so that really, I think Lad got a little bit worse once Shifter went to 1 because we don't need to do the Shifter lines. But I do think Lad is very good as an on-board piece still. But, you know, so it does help with the Chaos Star Source plays. But overall, also Chaos Star Source is very good in branded, because if you don't run the Lad and you only get the 1 card Aluber combo, you could always just make Mirror Jade plus a branded banishment with a Albion in graveyard with the Lubellion on board to make Chaos Star Source by going branded banishment, target the Lubellion, fuse off the Albion, the Lubellion, and then make Chaos Star Source instead of the Lad like you normally do in that line. And you get the pop 2 plus the banish plus, you know, Mercurier, and you don't have to deal with the Light and Darkness Dragon Lords, you know, chain blocking your Tri-Brigade Mercurier negate, which is a lot of the time, you know, you just need like a Super Poly or something to make it so this board actually isn't, you know, fucking up your Mercurier negation. So yeah, no, Chaos Star Source's errata's a little bit wild, but definitely kind of expected. But what do you guys think? Let me know down below. I wanted to make a quick video on this. I do think, once again, that our Blue Eyes matchup just gets a little bit harder now, right? It's going to be like Master Duel now, frankly. Master Duel, we have a 50-50, I think, kind of Blue Eyes matchup a lot of the time. If they open Primite plus full combo, it's a very difficult board for us to break, and that's going to be the case now, because in TCG we had 2 silver bullets, 1 Alba Lenatus, and then 2 Chaos Star Source Dragons pre-errata. So yeah, I mean, we do still have Alba Lenatus, so Alba Lenatus might now need to come into the extra deck, especially with Blue Eyes winning French Nats. Obviously, it's still Rogue at that point, but, you know, the deck's still very good, and I think a lot of people kind of just put it down because of the new decks, but don't realize that Blue Eyes is still very good. And I don't want to be caught, like, kind of unsuspecting without, like, the Lenatus, because Lenatus is very good for situations of opening up the Fallen of Albaz in bricked hands. So you could, like, let's just say, set a card, pretend you brick, and then your opponent passes back priority, and then you can contact fuse off the Blue Eyes board for the Alba Lenatus. See, this doesn't really work all the time against a good Blue Eyes player, though, in my opinion, or at least a Blue Eyes player that knows you're unbranded or suspects you're unbranded. I think a very good player I think in TCG this doesn't come up because branded's just not popular like it is in Master Duel. In TCG right now, like I think a lot of people like branded, but I think it's not like ran like it is in Master Duel. In Master Duel, branded is genuinely tier 1 because of 2 branded fusion, Verte Anaconda being legal. But in the TCG is probably about tier 2, tier 3. So, you know, Blue Eyes players are not going to be expecting it. They're going to probably more than 50% of the time think that when you set a card, it's not an Albaz, especially if you don't like lead on to it. And that's the thing about TCG. It's always just like there's manners and also nuances to how you play, and you show your opponent, like you show on your face what you have essentially. So, you know, having a good poker face with a set Albaz will still probably do a lot to a Blue Eyes player in the TCG, unlike Master Duel and Master Duel. If you go sat card, they immediately pop it with Majesty because they have their own trap that says non-target pop a card. A lot of the time in the TCG, they will just let that go. But that is just something to consider for if you're looking for a new Blue Eyes Silver Bullet, because this will still be good against Blue Eyes, but because as like having a Rinbrum target to fuse off and make and then pop their True Light will be great in a grind game still. It just won't be the super poly target that you could top deck and then out a whole Blue Eyes board, like even the Drill Beam, right? Before it was a bit overwhelming against the Blue Eyes players, I won't lie. Like the Blue Eyes matchup was a real joke for branded. So yeah, I did just want to talk about that. You know, obviously, I think Blue Eyes overall is already a deck where they don't like, or they don't care about Fua. So like in the Blue Eyes matchup, I'd probably just be siding out the Fua from my main deck, as we don't main it in the TC or in Master Duel. I think Droll though is very good, and then TCG we actually have the opportunity to side Droll, and Droll's very good against Blue Eyes, so I think that is very good for that instance. And you know, overall board breakers are very good, like Harpy Feathered, Duster, and Lightning Storm, because they usually can't get out to the Cipher in time, right? So yeah. All right. I mean, depending if they already went their Omni Negates or not. But yeah, guys, what did you think of this video? I'm going to go back into the shop and do some more recording because I'm hyper behind videos. And I do appreciate everyone waiting on the content. I wanted to make a little quick video here because it came out this morning that Chaos Star Source was eroded. So yeah, guys, with that being said, we will be seeing you guys later. Bye now.